Did I ever tell you what the definition of insanity is? Insanity is
Referencing the same decade-old meme.
over and over again, expecting
It to ever be funny.
that is crazy.
But jokes aside, why do we all sit down and decide to watch the same things over and over? Well, it isn't quite as insane as I'm making it out to be. Sometimes you just don't want to watch something new, you just want something you know you already enjoy. And occasionally, this is true for me. Whenever I've got friends round and just want to shoot the shit, I offer to put Hot Fuzz on in the background. But this definitely isn't something I do with anime. And there's a few reasons for this. Firstly, I've seen a lot of anime, and some are easier to outsiders than others. You wouldn't throw someone with no knowledge of anime at the Monogatari series, would you? Believe me, I've tried. I lose a lot of them by the first panty shot. 2, there's always an argument over whether you should watch the dub or the sub. Obviously, not everyone is able to keep up the subtitles. The fact they'd want to watch something in the dub is perfectly understandable. Then there's people who want to watch the dub because they prefer it. And at that point I get up and shout at them, at which point they say, what the fuck, it ain't that bad, and then everything goes a little blurry, and when I come to, everyone is looking at me in disgust, and they deny ever being friends with me when anyone brings it up. And even on my own, I never rewatch stuff I've already seen. I feel that I have a limited amount of time to spend doing things, so I might as well do something new. And that doesn't explain why I wasted several days in Persona 5 failing at the baseball minigame. Now that I'm mentioning video games, I recently played Undertale for the first time. For me, Undertale is a lot like Hamilton. They both got really popular in the mid-2010s, they both have soundtracks you hear everywhere, and the mere thought of what Tumblr have done to them brings on violent urges. But jokes aside, I really like Undertale, and it's got me to do something rare. Replay the game from start to finish. Now, those of you who have played it know that the game actively encourages you to replay it for a different ending, but most of the things before it are the same, especially for me who chose to spare everyone both times around, so I was effectively replaying the same gameplay scenario. And this is something I never do for the most part, but with a game it is very different, since most of them you can progress through at whatever pace you want. With anime, however, it's one straight line with a preset pace. Now, I'm not a complete stranger to rewatching anime, as while I've never gone over an entire series again, there are several times I've rewatched individual episodes over. And indeed, I have watched the first episode of Dorohedoro about 4 times. I've mainly been rewatching it with the purpose of measuring people's reactions to it, and I've made this nice line graph of it here. It took me 2 minutes in MS Paint. I've also rewatched the first episode of Cowboy Bebop several times, once again with the purpose of introducing it to friends, and that is a smart one to start with, seeing as it lays out the episodic nature of the show for all to see. Of course, I've rewatched FMA Brotherhood episode 4 several times over. Because I make so many jokes about that moment, I might as well do my research. Then I've also rewatched the first episode of Haruhi Season 2 about 8 times. Oh wait.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
Going back over these, it laid out to me that what I would like to gain from rewatching something is either the vibe or the moments. For example, if I were to go back watching the first half of Spy X Family, then I would be focused on the vibe. That vibe being aww. But then if I was going to rewatch Attack on Titan, I'd be going back to relive specific moments I've forgotten the true effects of. Namely Season 2 and the first half of Season 3. So what I've done is I've thought about what I've watched and should maybe give a rewatch. So first up, let's talk vibe, and there aren't any series considered as vibey as Samurai Champloo. When I first watched it, I remember enjoying it, but not being as overly taken with it as I expected. I was expecting for it to go balls to the wall with its hip-hop stylings after I watched the first episode, but then I felt surprised when it let the hip-hop aspect fade into the background for most of it, and instead focus on a samurai drama featuring a band of misfits. This isn't what I expected from a show called Samurai Champloo, but while looking back, I realised that the style was still there, it's just that it wasn't bludgeoning you over the head with it. And the more I got thinking about that, the more I want to revisit Watanabe's other works. I want to relive the quiet contemplation of Cowboy Bebop, the wacky heart that Space Dandy possessed, the most relaxing endangering of civilian lives put to film that is Zankyou no Terror, okay, maybe not Carol on Tuesday. But while I'm on the subject of vibes, Soul Eater. The characters are very memorable, but the series would not be even a fraction of how good it is were it not for Taka Iwasaki's music and the angular nature of everything. Yeah, the story might have been a bit questionable towards the end, but that doesn't mean it isn't interesting. And something in me wants to go back and experience the crazier bits of Evangelion again. Yeah, I want to watch Shinji's meltdown again, because I feel that since I first watched the series, I've realised there's a much easier way to understand the lore of Evangelion. become depressed. Going to the other side of things, what do I want to rewatch for story purposes? Having formulated a list, these tend to be ones that are expecting a continuation. Highest up on my list, Mob Psycho 100. I remember all of it being done very well, and while I have the feeling that the next arc is not going to necessarily need me to recall what came before, I still remember the characters having really good arcs, and it's a shame because I can't remember any of their names outside of Mob and Reagan. I need to go over them since supposedly the series is coming to a close in a few months. Vinland Saga is also getting a sequel in the near future, but the reason I want to rewatch it is so I can see the rise and fall of Askeladd again, now that I know he's essentially the protagonist of the show. And finally, I want to rewatch a load of Ghibli films, namely Spirited Away. It's been yonks since I watched it, and I feel that I need to be reintroduced to it. Not only because I'm of an age where I can appreciate it better, but also because I can't call myself an anime fan without owning at least 2 pieces of no-face merch. So there you go, I've made a list of things I need to rewatch. Chances to stop and smell the roses, realise what made me love these shows in the first place, and even learn to love them again. Hang on, I've barely watched any of the stuff this season. What the fuck am I doing wasting time here? It's a busy life, but an enjoyable one. God, I'm actually doing some hard work.